All right. Well, hey everybody, welcome. Appreciate everyone that's here joining us for the fall YPG meetup. Um, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Grant Kircher. I'm one of the co-chairs alongside Chase Doobie. And today we have an awesome presentation for you. And then afterwards, we're going to get an opportunity to get in some breakout rooms to have some group discussions on some topics that we really believe that you'll get a lot out of. So please stick around for that. Before we get started, we do have a couple rules of the road for the meeting. If you can or have not already, please mute your mic for the presentation portion. Also, we're going to have a Q&A at the end of the presentation. We're going to save time. So if you want to speak and ask a question, please do so then. But during the presentation, if you have any questions or don't feel like speaking up, we do have a Q&A box where you can type them into the chat, and then Chase and I will relay them to Paige at that point. I also have an announcement for those of us that are going to be joining us all in San Francisco for Campus Energy Conference. We're going to be hosting another DE District Energy 101 workshop to help some of the newer YPG members and newer people to the industry to become more familiar with the district energy industry and highlight and summarize some of the different systems in district energy, the technologies that are used, and even some of the nomenclature that we go into. So I just want to mention that we're going to cover the same topics as the previous conference, previous workshop. For those of you who were not able to attend the last conference, but there's more to come with that, so just keep an eye out. And with that, I'll turn it over to Chase to kick us off.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that, Grant. Just some background, as we were thinking about how as co-chairs we provide something different to our YPG members, something out of the box. I was watching Paige on stage there in Chicago getting an award, and I'm like, you know what? Here's an idea. And so I looked at Paige Davis, who is a paddle board expert in mechanical bull riding connoisseur, and asked if she'd be willing to be the kickoff for our YPG Difference Makers program. And this is where she's going to kind of highlight her role and Austin Energy's role as being Campus of the Year award recipient. So with that, thank you, Paige, and I now turn it over to you.
Thank you, guys. Hi, everybody. My name is Paige Davis, and welcome to my TED Talk now. So yeah, this is our Difference Makers webinar. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about, as Chase said, our System of the Year award, and just a little bit about kind of what I do at Austin Energy and how I got there a little bit. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. So just a little bit about me and my background. For those of you who don't know me, I grew up in Texas, in a town called Rockwall, just a little bit outside of Dallas. And then when I graduated high school, I went to Boston University and lived in Massachusetts for a little while. When I graduated from BU, I got my bachelor's in economics and environmental analysis and policy. Mouthful, but once I graduated, I worked for IDEA for a little while, actually. I helped with some of like the conference planning and website kind of stuff for about 4-ish years, and then I landed here in Austin, and now I work for Austin Energy, and I'm also currently working on my master's in renewable energy and sustainable systems with Penn State and their World Campus online. So yeah, lots of things, and I'll go ahead and move on. So just a little bit about Austin Energy as an organization. So Austin Energy is primarily an electric utility. We're the municipally owned utility here in Austin. We've been around since 1895, so we've been here for quite a while. And our mission is to safely deliver clean, affordable, reliable energy and excellent customer service. So the utility serves over 530,000 total customers. Those are not all district cooling customers. I wish, maybe one day, but not there yet. So as an electric utility, we do participate in the ERCOT market. So if you're not familiar with how the electric grid works, Texas has its own grid. Just been in the news a lot the last few years. And ERCOT is the grid operator. So all the energy that we generate, we sell to ERCOT, and then we buy energy from ERCOT to serve all of our residential, commercial, industrial customers. And we do also make some revenue from supplying chilled water, of course. I work for District Energy and Cooling within Austin Energy. We provide reliable, cost-effective, and environmentally friendly cooling. We started serving chilled water customers in April 2001. So we've been around for a little over 20 years. We currently serve 73 total customers throughout Austin with over 25 million square foot of space. Our total capacity through over all of our plants is 51,700 tons. And that's in 4 different independent systems. So we have our biggest system is in the downtown central business district. The capacity of just that loop is just over 29,000 tons. And we have 76,000 ton hours of ice storage that we use to shift our electric load every day from 3 to 6 p.m. A couple other little stats. The downtown system has more than 8 miles of pipes, and that loop serves about 18 million square feet of space. One of our other loops is the Mueller neighborhood in Austin. It actually used to be a municipal airport, and now it is a mixed-use development. Our system there is anchored by the Dell Children's Medical Center. So they've been there since June 2007. And we actually have a small CHP plant that we also provide steam and some electric power just to the hospital. And that CHP system actually helped the hospital to become the first LEED Platinum hospital in the US. Little fun fact. So we do also have some other chilled water customers on that loop, but the hospital is the only one that we do steam and electricity for. The other systems we have is the Domain, which is kind of our north downtown here in Austin. It has a big outdoor shopping center and a few big office towers that we provide cooling to. And they also do have some thermal energy storage as well. And then our 4th loop, which is our newest system, is the Austin Community College Highland campus. So that's actually used to be an old shopping center, and the Austin Community College bought it and has redeveloped it into a campus. So we have a cooling system that we provide chilled water, and we also have some thermal energy storage there. That system is exclusively for the Highland campus, so we don't serve any other customers off of that loop. One of the things that makes us really unique is that we are part of Austin Energy and we are municipally owned. So that means that we ultimately answer to the city manager and city council, who ultimately answer to all of the residents and citizens here in Austin. So our customers are really kind of our boss. So we are really customer focused and focused on serving the community, which is really cool for me. I really like working for an organization that we don't answer to shareholders or any financial investors in New York or wherever. We're very local, which is really cool. that does affect how we do business, because we are subject to, city processes, and things like civil service laws. So it affects, kind of how we have to do purchasing and hiring, our record retentions. We have to be completely transparent, because we're subject to public information requests. Anybody can go to the city and ask for any of our data, any of our information, and we have to be transparent. So yeah, it really affects like how we do business and how we do everything day to day. So the city council, from the top, dictates to Austin Energy, gives us environmental goals, how to manage the grid here in Austin, how we can help and support economic development. And then Austin Energy has invested in a district energy and cooling system to support those goals. So we get our financing, our funding basically, through Austin Energy and their bonding capabilities. We then use, we being district energy and cooling, we use those funds and the support that we get from Austin Energy and the city to build plants, to connect new customers, to put pipes in the ground, so that we can, operate our plants and make sure we're doing things to keep our capital costs low, keep our life cycle costs low, and really provide efficient, cost-effective chilled water. We then get revenue from those customers. They pay us bills every month to pay for that chilled water. And we use that to pay back our capital investments, and any revenues that we get and any revenues that Austin Energy makes from electric sales, all of that goes right back to the city. We transfer, I think it's about $10 million into the city's general fund every year. So we support a lot of what goes on in the city. We support like parks, public safety, all kinds of things, as well as all of the other benefits we provide for meeting sustainability goals, reducing carbon emissions. We really help to support economic development in the city by working with developers and helping keep their costs low as well. And we support the grid. So especially when we use our thermal energy storage tanks to help load shift, we help make sure that we're keeping demand on the grid low when on the hottest summer days, when there's a lot of when the grid peaks, there's peak demand on the grid. We kind of help to manage that so that the grid doesn't collapse. One other thing that I wanted to mention is so because we are city owned, we don't make any kind of profits. Any revenues we have go back to the city. We really are able to prioritize low cost, keeping our costs low, and allocate funds to supporting vulnerable residents, pay electric bills, improve home energy efficiency. So there's a really emphasis on supporting the community and an emphasis on sustainability. So the city of Austin has a climate equity plan, and they have a goal for carbon-free generation within Austin Energy by 2035. So there's a lot of pressure from the city for us to make sure that we're doing things as efficiently and as environmentally and sustainably as possible. So as Chase mentioned earlier, we won the 2023 System of the Year award. So for those of you who aren't familiar with how you get the System of the Year award, you do have to kind of apply for it. So you have to submit a packet that includes things like a description of what your system is, what you do, as well as metrics that demonstrate your efficiency, availability, reliability, resiliency, all those fun buzzwords. You have to show what kind of environmental benefits, how you support sustainability, as well as things like workplace and safety training, customer relations, community involvement. So it kind of boils down to these 4 kind of buckets. How well do you operate? What do you do for sustainability? How do you support your employees and your customers? Which that's one of the benefits, being municipally owned and having that really customer focus really translates in what we do, specifically district energy and cooling. We're very customer focused. And being within Austin Energy and the city, there is a lot of good employee benefits, training and support from the city. For example, yesterday I was at our headquarters all day because I'm doing a leadership training program. So there's lots of opportunities for cross training and development. So they really do make sure that employees are, getting what we need. So a little bit, I'm not an engineer, so I'm not an expert in any of the really technical areas here. But I do want to just kind of give a little overview of some of the things that we do kind of operationally and in our processes that I think make us special, make us, system of the year worthy, I guess. And one of those things is that we really try to maximize everything that we have. So one of the ways that we do that is starting with our design requirements. So how we design our plants and how we connect our customers to the system. We have a lot of standardization with flexibility. And being from the city, we have a lot of requirements for documentation. So we do have a lot of our projects and processes are extremely well documented. So for our chiller plants, for example, we have a design criteria manual that basically lists all of the requirements and bits and pieces and things that we require from all of our new plants. So whenever we go and hire someone to help design one of our plants, we basically just give them the criteria manual and they have everything all the information they should need to be able to give us exactly what we are looking for. One of the things that we do is we always use high quality materials. So even if something costs a little bit more up front, we really do prioritizing having, the best things, the best equipment to ensure that it's going to work in the long term. Reliability and availability is really, really important for us. We need to make sure that we never go down because we have important customers like the Children's Hospital. So we really make sure that everything that we are going to install on our plant is going to last. And then operationally, we include things like variable speed drives, using PLC control cabinets to make sure that we can optimize our operations and do everything as efficiently as possible. We do have things like redundant equipment to make sure that we are resilient, that we have N+1 resiliency, so that, like I said, we never have to go out, we never have to go down. And then we do things like we use recycled rainwater and recycle our condensate. And when it's available, we do use reclaimed water from the city. So the city of Austin does have a reclaimed water plant. So where in downtown. So for our downtown plants, we do use reclaimed water as well to help, reduce our water use and make sure that we're environmentally friendly and being as sustainable as we can. On the customer side, so we call them our customer connection requirements. And so, whenever we're working with a new building, a new developer who wants to connect to our system, it's just a document that we can give them and we can give their contractors, and it has all of the requirements that they need when they're designing their the mechanical room and where we're going to put our heat exchangers. So every customer is connected to the system via heat exchanger that's designed for a 15-degree delta T. And that just helps make sure that we're getting the right return temperatures we need back to the plant so that we can operate at full capacity and minimize any excess flow in the system. And in downtown, actually, making improvements in our customer delta temperatures has helped us to increase the average system return temperatures by about 4 degrees. So system-wide, that's a pretty significant increase. And like I said, that just helps make sure that we have our full plant capacity available when we need it. And each customer also has a PLC control cabinet, and those controls are automated to make sure to modulate that supply temperature so that we always maintain that delta T. And again, that just kind of helps support the overall system efficiency and make sure that we're getting the most out of what we have. So a little bit more on our operations. Like I said, we really are aiming for high efficiency, high reliability, and making sure everything that we build, all of our plants are really resilient. So we have had 100% availability and reliability. I believe since as long as we've been tracking this. I know from our system of the year submission, we talked about, I think it was 2019, 2020, 2021. All those years are 100% reliability and availability. I'm sure a lot of you probably heard about the Great Texas Freeze in 2021. And then here in Austin, we were really impacted by Winter Storm Mara in 2023. And we did not suffer any chilled water steam service interruptions during either of those events. So yeah, we have been able to weather all of the storms and keep our plants going, which is just a real credit to all of our operations team. We do a lot of things to make sure our plants run efficiently. We have hydraulic modeling, which we are constantly updating, and using that when we're looking at how we're going to expand our system and how we're going to add customers and what kind of what we need to do to adjust our system to make sure that everything is running as best it can. We've made various improvements in the plants over the years in our operations. So with our thermal energy storage tank, whenever we're doing our melting that ice tank out, we're able to lower our supply temperature in the system to 32 degrees. And that has improved our plant efficiency from 1 kilowatt per ton to 0.8 kilowatts per ton. And we regularly track what we call our plant service efficiency, which is basically, how many tons are we able to provide for our customers per kilowatt. So we've been able to increase that efficiency. So from 2019 to 2022, from 1.18 tons to 1.32 tons per kilowatt hour. So yeah, we're always looking to see what we can do to improve our efficiency. And resiliency, I talked about how we kind of make sure that that's built into our plant design from the beginning, with things like redundant equipment. We also always make sure we have multiple electric feeds into all of our plants. In case, we lose one feed, we're able to power the plant from another feed. We also have program the controls in the plants so that they're able to automatically switch to either backup chillers or the thermal energy storage tank if something trips. So if there's a chiller that something happens, the control system will take it offline and just switch to, we always have a backup chiller available, or if we're running peak, we do have the thermal energy storage as a backup. And then our operations team also does have a pretty robust predictive maintenance program, so that we make sure we're not surprised by things going wrong. And we can take regular outages and take things out to make sure that we are just making sure everything is working at its tip-top condition all the time. And maximizing our efficiency in all this helps us to minimize our costs and helps keep all of our rates low. So it all works together and ties together, and it's all important. One of the coolest things that I think that we do is that we use our thermal energy storage tanks to shift our electric load. So in downtown in particular, we turn all of our chillers off, and we're only using our secondary distribution pumps from 2 out of our 4 plants. So the downtown system has 4 plants total that are all connected together. So from peak hours of 3 to 6 p.m., we're really running on minimal power. So we're able to shift about 15 megawatts in downtown from on peak hours to off peak hours. We have a total installed capacity to shift 18 megawatts. So as we add additional customers downtown and our peak loads increase, then we'll be able to shift more of that, even more load. And the climate equity plan that I talked about earlier, there is a goal in there to increase the total thermal energy storage capacity in Austin to 40 megawatts. So we do have a mandate from City Council to add more thermal energy storage. So that's something that we're actively trying to figure out where we're going to put a thermal energy storage tank, and how we're going to add more capacity to our systems. And so using by load shifting, we're able to lower costs, not just for district energy and cooling, but electricity costs for Austin Energy in general. We work with the Energy Market Operations Department. So that's the group within Austin Energy that buys electricity from the ERCOT market to serve all of our commercial and residential customers. So we work with them to make sure that we're optimizing the time that we're load shifting to, make sure that we're getting as much cost savings as possible. So we're constantly working with them to make sure that 3 to 6 window is the best window for us to turn our ice tanks off. Or if there's changes in the market that tell them that maybe we should shift that, those peak times, to a different time. So yeah, we're working with other departments with Austin Energy to make sure that not just the district cooling system is working as efficiently as possible, but the entire Austin Energy grid as well. And by doing this load shifting, we are also able to take advantage of not just lower cost electricity, but lower carbon electricity as well. So it really does help to lower our overall emissions and lower emissions, again, of the Austin Energy grid as a whole. So it really does help us to ease stress on the grid, particularly during those peak hours. And I do have a little graph. So this is kind of what our typical load shifting day looks like. This would be like a summer day when our demands are always high. So you kind of see that blue line dips down. We start turning everything off, I think around like 2:45. And by around 3:15, we're running on, like I said, just a couple secondary pumps to keep everything flowing through the system. And then you kind of see where there's a little peak at the very end of the day. I don't know why I'm pointing with my finger. There's a little peak here at the very end of the day. Where we'll turn our chiller, our ice tank back on to charge overnight when we've got, like I said, that low cost, low carbon electricity. Yeah, so that really does help us keep costs and emissions low. So sustainability, I kind of already talked about a little bit, is really important in what we do. We use reclaimed water wherever it's available, so that's mostly downtown. By doing all of those different things, we're able to really minimize our water use. And we also save over 35 million gallons a year. By in our cooling towers, we increase the cycles of concentration with chemical water treatments. And like I said, I'm not an engineer. All I know is somehow that saves lots of water. So that's a cool thing that we do. I talked about load shifting. And so using load shifting, we avoid about 10 million pounds of CO2 emissions annually. So compared to if we were just running our chillers, all day to meet all of our demand. And in downtown, total, using our district cooling system, we're able to reduce the carbon footprint of those buildings that we serve by about 60%, compared to if they all had their own on-site chiller or AC system. So yeah, it's great for the city of Austin. It helps us reduce our emissions within the city. Yeah, and I have, again, this is in our System of the Year submission. So if you're interested, you want to look a little bit more, this table is in there. It's on the IDEA website. But yeah, so you can see here that we, using that load shifting compared to using just our system alone, or compared to if all of those customer buildings had their own system, we are really able to cut those emissions significantly. All right, so now that was kind of a little bit about our system and Austin Energy. For the last little bit of this, I'll talk a little bit about what I do specifically. I don't have as many slides here. I'm just kind of going to talk a little bit. These are kind of my main responsibilities. So kind of falls into customer relations. So I work with help manage our customer contracts, help design all of our rates. I do all of our monthly billing, as well as identify new customers. So on the system development side, I help with kind of our capital planning and our budgeting. So how much money do we have to spend? How many plants can we build? How many plants do we need to build? Where do they need to be? Those kinds of things. And then just kind of identifying opportunities for growth in the city. So I'll back up a little bit. I started at Austin Energy in really good timing in March of 2020. And so we all know what happened then. COVID kind of hit, and development in the city kind of ground to a halt. So that silver linings kind of ended up being a good thing for me, because it meant that I had some time while we weren't as busy to really get familiar with the business. It gave me time to read through all of our customer contracts and really kind of learn what processes we use in our department and in the city, and ask a lot of questions to really kind of figure things out and kind of learn what I can do, more like what my role is, where I can help support the business. And my boss, James Cassim, he actually joined Austin Energy just a few months after me in I think October, November 2020. So he kind of was doing the same thing. We asked a lot of questions, and whenever we found something that we found problems or found things that we didn't really like how that works, or why is it this way, we were able to really dig into things and look into data and dig through old files, figure out exactly kind of how the system developed and how we wanted to continue moving it forward. So one way specifically that I've kind of been able to do that is with our billing process. So we have within Austin Energy, we have our billing department. And they were doing the billing for district energy and cooling customers. But as you can imagine, the rates and how we do our billing is really different from how you would bill for electric customers. And because we're a really small part of the business, a lot of those, a lot of those people weren't as familiar with our business and how we bill and why we bill things do things certain ways. So I kind of ended up taking that over and updating our process and the calculation of our bills. And that's really kind of helped us just make sure that that process runs smoothly. And we are now actually looking to automate that process, and we have an RFP open, so I'm not going to say anything more about that. So I'm working with city purchasing to procure a new software solution to kind of help make that process even better. That's one thing that, like I said, because development kind of slowed down and we had time to really look into the business, we were able to update some of our processes to make our, everything on our side run a little bit smoother, which ultimately just helps us serve our customers better. If I'm spending less time doing our billing every month, that means I have more time to go out and look for new customers, or help with our capital planning, and things like that. So more recently now, obviously a big theme in the workplace is going back to the office. And same with Austin Energy, we've been starting to go back to the office a little bit more in the last year or so. And that was, obviously one of the struggles with starting a new job at the very beginning of, COVID-19 and lockdowns and everybody working from home. I didn't really get to meet any of my coworkers or the people that I, work with and support within our business for a long time. But now that we've kind of been going back to the office, we have like weekly departmental meetings where we all get to be in a room and just sit and kind of give updates on, how the plants are doing, what they need from us, how I let everyone know how we're doing on the business side and what kind of things that we need to be paying attention to, or things that might be coming up. We have project managers who kind of help support our new customers as they get connected. So it's been really nice lately to be able to have that in-person check-in with everybody. So I guess the last thing that I have, I like maps, so I thought I would add a nice little map. This is our downtown system. Like I said, it's our biggest system. We've got our 4 plants, as well as a couple more plants that we're looking to add in the next few years. The orange lines you see are all of our existing transmission lines. And this dotted line here is actually the famous 6th Street in downtown Austin. We are going to be digging up and putting in some more chilled water lines. That's actually one of our big projects that we're working on now, is putting in that transmission line. And that is, as you can see, we don't have what you would really want, I guess, again, I'm not an engineer, but I'm told ideally you want to be able to have a loop in your system, in your distribution system. So we're putting in this line to help optimize the flow within the network and make sure that, like I said earlier, we're really maximizing what we can get out of all of the assets that we have in the ground. That's a little bit about Austin Energy, our district cooling, and what I do there. So I guess if anybody has any questions. Hopefully I didn't talk too quickly.
Paige, that was perfect. Thank you so much. As far as Q&A, just a reminder, Grant mentioned we have the Q&A box. You can put any questions in the chat. And I think I saw a very important person come off mute. Rob, you wanted to make a note there?
Yeah. Hi, Chase. Hey, Paige. Great job. For everyone who's on the call, you should know that Paige actually worked at IDA, as she said, for really the start of her career, and she is the architect of the nationwide map of district energy systems here in the U.S. She did an unbelievable job capturing, collating, curating data, making sense, and so kudos to Paige for your experience with maps and data. So I had two questions. I realized I probably should have put them in the Q&A, but Paige, two questions operational. One, does ERCOT have a carbon intensity signal? So, are you able, do you get a, kind of a 15-minute, any sort of interval data on the carbon intensity of the generation in ERCOT? Do you know?
I am not 100% sure. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But it's pretty easy to tell. You can tell the generation mix. So Texas, for those of you who don't know, has a lot of wind energy, and we do have a lot of solar as well. And Austin Energy, specifically, we do own a lot of wind and solar generation. So yeah, the wizards in the energy market office are the ones who they kind of know and are able to tell those things. And they, like I said, we kind of work with them to make sure that our operations are matching up with their goals and, their priorities as well.
So you're charging your ICE batteries at a time when costs are lowest, carbon is lowest, and really kind of optimizing there. And then I have one other question, Paige, and and this goes to the customers. Do you know in the contracts, do you have? It sounds like you're controlling on delta T, so the 15-degree delta T is a requirement. But do you have either an incentive or a penalty if they come out of compliance with delta T? Do you have that in the contracts? Do you know?
Yeah. So one of the fun parts about, we've been around for 20 years, and, things, change over time. So a lot of our customer contracts vary. So that's one of the fun parts about my job is I have to make sure I know who does what and what applies to which customers, and managing all of that. It's fun. But yes, so we do have in our contracts, it'll say, this is the supply temperature that we're going to give you, and this is your required delta or your required return. And for, most of our customers, there is some kind of penalty or an incentive. If you perform really well, we'll give you a little bit of a credit. But yeah, if you underperform, there is like a penalty, whatever you want to call it.
Right. Yeah. So you're recovering these, incremental costs from the customers that are causing it, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
I should have typed my questions, and I apologize for jumping, but I couldn't help it. So thanks for indulging me. Good work, Paige.
Yeah.
And I'll be quiet now. Sorry.
But yeah, and Rob, you're totally right. The reason we charge that penalty is because, like I said, whenever, if you have a building that's underperforming, you're not providing the return temperature to the plant that you need. You're reducing the capacity. That's extra energy that it takes for the pumps. That's more flow. So it does have an operational cost to it. So yeah, we pass that cost on to the customer.
Like power factor, right? Yeah. Electricity. Yep. Very good.
So yeah, all of our rates and stuff, everything that we design to recover all of our costs. And like I said, we're a nonprofit. Anything extra we make goes right back to the city anyways. So we try not to make any extra money. We try to keep our costs as low as possible and just recover what we're spending.
Right.
So yeah, that's one of those advantages of being a publicly owned utility. We don't want to make extra money.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob, for those questions. Our first question kind of relates to that. Obviously, you have IDEA background before you went to Austin Energy. How impactful and helpful has that background been in your position there at Austin Energy?
Yeah, so the best thing that I got out of working for IDEA is available to IDEA members as well. And that's just the networking. So whenever I got to Austin Energy, whenever there was, because when I was working for IDEA, I'm looking really high level. So I'm building a map of all of the systems. I'm not, really working in, seeing what a specific, individual systems are doing as much. So transitioning to Austin Energy, I kind of like got a little bit, one step down. So now I'm really looking at just one system. So whenever I have questions about, how something works, or I have a customer who's asking me about a specific technology that I'm not familiar with, I know who to contact. I know that I can, shoot Rob an email and, he'll connect me with, whoever I need to talk to. So just having those connections really has helped kind of give me shortcuts and help me with areas that I don't have as much expertise. So yeah, having that kind of support from the industry has been really helpful for me personally. And it's really great to see. And I like that I can kind of maybe help give back to other people too. Yeah, so that whole networking connection part has been super valuable.
Paige, I have something to ask. But first off, that was an awesome presentation, by the way. I just wanted to give you the credit there. But you had a great slide. I think it was towards the beginning where it showed the whole business model for Austin Energy and from city council to your department to the customers and kind of showing the interactions between them all. And kind of went into your role, but where does your role fit into kind of this model? And what happens if if you're not there? What falls apart? And how do you add value to this?
Yeah, so there's my mouse. So I work for the District Energy and Cooling Department. So I am solidly in this little teal bubble here. And I really work with our customers a lot. So like I said, one of the big things that I do is I handle our monthly billing. So I am the one who personally gets the data from our plants and calculates what we're going to charge everybody and sends that to the billing department. So yeah, if I'm not there, we might not be making our revenue for a couple months till someone figures out how to recreate whatever I was doing. But yeah, no, so I really support the business side of things. We've got a really, really great operational team that does their job really well. So I really work to make sure I look at things like our capital budget. And how that impacts what the plants are going to be able to do, and how that impacts our customers. So I'm kind of helping find that balancing point, right? And prioritizing things because, ideally, I would love to be able to spend as much money on the plants as possible and give our operations team, all of the things that they want, all the things that they ask for, and give them all kinds of, let's build an extra plant for redundancy just in case. Why not? Sure. But I'm the one who has to say, all right, how is that going to affect our rates and our customers? So if we spend a lot of capital, that, like I said, gets passed down to our customers, and then all of a sudden our rates aren't competitive in the market. So there's no mandates for anybody to connect to our chilled water system or anything like that. We have to be competitive. So if there's a tower downtown and they can put in their own cooling system cheaper than it is to connect with us, they're gonna do it. So yeah, finding that balance is really important to make sure that, like I said, we keep our rates low. And make sure that operationally we're able to do everything that we need to be able to do.